It's important that you understand that addiction is a chronic disease. Hello, this is Dr. Mario San Bartolomé, your family doctor and addiction medicine specialist. Welcome to our series. Today we're going to be talking about addiction. What is addiction? This thing, this topic, this term that we throw around all over the place. People say, I'm addicted to carrot cake. But are you? Would you sell your body for carrot cake? Would you steal something for carrot juice? There's probably never going to be a time where carrots will be a significant thing that somebody goes to the doctor for to get off of. So when we throw terms around like I'm addicted to something, it actually means something very specific to a doctor, and really it starts in the brain. In the past, we used to think that it had to do with the drug. So drugs like marijuana, drugs like cocaine, drugs like alcohol. Well, now one of the things that we've found out over time is that it's not about the drug, it's actually about the brain. And so the brain is the part that actually causes the types of changes. And in particular, there's a chemical called dopamine. And we've all heard of the term dope, or being dope sick. Well, that's where it comes from. And dopamine is what we call a neurotransmitter. All that is a chemical that communicates from one part of the nervous system to another part of the nervous system. And what it does is it activates certain parts of our brain. Now, not everything can activate this part of the brain. We call this part the reward center. The part that, when it's activated, it's done for a reason, because nature wants to be able to replicate it, to perpetuate it, to make it happen over and over again. Things like food and water. Things like what I like to call mama bear, like you want to protect your young. These very basic, fundamental, primitive things. And addiction affects that part of what we call a neurocircuit. That's the reward center. And one of the things that happens, unfortunately, is that when you activate that part of the nervous system, it also impairs judgment. And that's one of the most frustrating parts about addiction, isn't it? That we scratch our heads and say, how is it that the person doesn't just stop? Why can't they just stop? And it's frustrating. It's hard to understand. But we now understand the biology. There is a part of your brain that actually controls judgment. And that's one of the parts that gets impaired as well. We call it addiction when it's actually something that takes over your life, essentially. That it becomes something that preoccupies your time, and then that you make a series of judgments that, despite negative consequences, you continue to do over and over and over again, even when it's hurting you. And so when we understand addiction now, we understand it through what we call the medical model. And that's what I've just explained to you, is the medical model of addiction. Through the neurobiology, we understand the nervous system. We can even take pictures of this, guys. And it's different from just being exposed to a drug. So what we've learned today is a little bit more about how serious addiction is, that it actually has a medical component to it, that we actually even call this the medical model of addiction. And what I'll give you a little bit of a teaser for is that it's because of that things like, oh, he's just lazy, or oh, that guy's a criminal, or he's not smart, clearly, look at the choices he's making. Those don't hold water, because a lot of people that have addictions are very motivated, are very smart, and you know what? It's not at all that they're lazy. They're actually suffering, and they need empathy. It doesn't mean that they also don't need to be accountable, because that's actually part of treatment. So now that you understand addiction a little better, I hope that you'll take that to heart and look a little broader at how you see the plight of people that have substance use disorders. Thank you.